Well, ladies and gentlemen, time now for us to switch to the other big story that we're tracking here on the show. Well, last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a roundtable meeting with representatives of 12 Indian AI startups who've qualified for the AI for All Global Impact Challenge in India. The India AI Impact Summit is to be held in February this year. In fact, the startups, as you can see on your television screens, they were the ones that are working in a diverse set of areas like healthcare, multilingual LLMs, material research, data analytics, engineering simulations, amongst others. In fact, to talk about that meeting and what was the Prime Minister's message to all the founders who were in that meeting, joining me now is Genloop CEO Ayush Gupta, who was part of that meeting. He is joining us now on the show. Thank you very much, Ayush, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now. First things first, what were the kind of conversations that you and some of the other founders had with the Prime Minister, and what was the Prime Minister's core message to AI startups during that meeting?
First of all, thank you, Sumita, for having me here. The Prime Minister was, very gracious to spare 2.5 hours to meet with the top India AI startups. Uh, he basically the primary agenda was what should be the strategy of AI for India when building for India and when building from India also for the global stage. The message that he gave was very clear. He said that AI from India has to be authentic and ethical. We have to not be protective of data so much, but be responsible for with data. So we get data, we train models on top of that, and we make sure that it's responsibly used and made available to AI to ensure that AI for all is achieved. And that he was also very mature
Right,
in his
right.
understanding of
And
AI.
AI for all, right.
Well,
Right. Ayush, the Prime Minister, of course, has been using technology, from a very, very long period of time. And of course, AI for all and inclusion is something that this government has focused as far as its various schemes are concerned. But when the Prime Minister said and spoke to all of you about the strategy for AI for the global stage, what was the feedback and what was it that was arrived at, given the fact that we're seeing rapid developments in the space of AI? So what can be India's strength and India's leverage in the times that we're currently in?
sure. The entire world is kind of struggling with putting AI in production and making it reliable. That is one of the central focuses of Genloop as well. So one of the interesting points the Prime Minister made was India with so much diversity, with so much edge cases and so many users trying to break the system. If we build a system that works for India, that is definitely ready for the world. So that was a unique point that he made. And the second thing he spoke about to create as a differentiation for AI coming from India was again that it has to be ethical and it has to be authentic. So we cannot have systems that are unreliable, and India could take a lead on that with such a big developer population.
Right. But should India classify AI systems by risk level similar to the European Union's approach, and would startups support that?
Right. So that was a question that we also put to the Prime Minister. What is his vision? Is it more data pragmatic or is it more protectionist like we see in the EU? And that is where we were happy to know that it is, more forward-looking rather than data protectionism. So it's about making systems that are reliable. Of course, you have to be responsible when you're playing with customers' data, and you have to make sure that you are giving results that are safe for people. In fact, one of our proposal is to build a small language model called Kavach that makes AI safe for people, and that was the Prime Minister's double down message as well. He was not leaning towards protectionism as we see in the EU, but more towards how to make systems that could be safely used for the India population.
Absolutely, Ayush. Absolutely. Ayush, and India's approach towards building AI systems has been focused more on innovation rather than restriction. However, the government does step in when challenges emerge. For example, the
Right.
Grok controversy, when it happened, the government did send out a messaging to X platform, and of course, Grok has complied. But do you think there should be a
Right.
separate law which is needed for dealing the challenges that are related to AI deepfakes and misinformation?
So I guess the technology is still evolving and the debate is still out who should be held responsible for using AI. For example, the same systems like emails could be used for spam people. Now we're not holding the email companies responsible for that, but we have started to build systems that enables everyone and cybersecurity measures to protect against those things. Similarly, I guess it would be a balanced approach. Of course, the model companies have to be more responsible in kind of the models that they're building. Then the application companies that are building on top of that, for example, the Grok AI controversy, they have to be responsible that they are exposing the users to the right applications of AI in preventing such misuse. And then even if it extends that, if we still see some issues coming from that, it has to be a balanced approach of individuals being responsible for that, individuals being, held responsible for a misuse of AI, like we have with social media so far, and then also some kind of a process or rules on how to kind of process it for everyone.
All right, Ayush, thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on 18 Now. It
Thanks,
remains
Amita.
to be seen, how India develops its AI muscle. And of course, it'll be interesting to meet you for the AI summit in February as well. And the kind of formations that India needs to look at with respect to global competition. Well, that is an interesting story that we will be definitely tracking. But thank you very much for the moment, for taking the time out. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of India will be hosting a high-level meet as part of its ongoing consultations, most likely tomorrow, with industry on mobile safety and security standards. The Ministry of Electronics and IT is working to build a robust regulatory framework that safeguards user privacy and data in the digital age. Now, India's ambitious plans to tighten mobile security has triggered a pushback from global tech giants, with reports suggesting that smartphone makers may face 83 new compliance standards, and that includes alerts on major software updates. Now, there were concerns that were raised that such measures could expose proprietary data, but the IT Ministry has clarified that these developments are routine and no source code demands are being made. Now, with over 1 billion smartphone users and rising risks of identity theft, financial fraud and data breaches, mobile security has become critical. And METI, or the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, has once again emphasized that routine stakeholder consultations are aimed at balancing technical challenges with strong protections, ensuring cybersecurity and privacy remain central to India's fast-evolving digital ecosystem. Well, with that, it's time for us to close this edition of Startup Central. Hope you liked watching the show as much as we did putting it together for you. You can write to us at suc@etnow.tv to share your feedback on the show, and also to tell us what kind of conversations would you like us to have on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's a wrap. Thank you very much for tuning in.
In association